Washington calling Canberra. Washington calling Canberra. Aurora Valley, come in, please.
This is Aurora.
Roger. Have you had AOS Skylab yet?
Roger, we're standing by. We have AOS, AGC minus 110 dBm and increasing.
Roger, Aurora. Could you put AM data online now, please?
Affirmative, data is online.
Roger, Aurora, we see data.
Roger. AGCs are falling rapidly. We have LOS.
Roger, Aurora, we copy LOS. We copy LOS here. I copy it at 0022 Zulu.
Roger, a roll has nothing further. A roll out.
Roger, Goddard, clear.
Canberra, the national capital, surrounded by hills and forests, site of the Castrol International Rally.
At his gate each shearer stood as the whistle loudly blew, with eyebrows fixed and lips compressed, the time it all fell to. On the shears through the wool they glide, see our guns already turned and on the women's side.
From the ceremonial start at Petrie Plaza, the cars moved to the forest for the beginning of the competition. Despite a maze of regulations, the rally is simply a race against the clock. The crew losing the least amount of time over 40 competition stages is the winner. No driver could find his way through the forest without a navigator. For car 1, it's Dr. Graham West.
I woke up about 7 o'clock where I made sure not to go to bed too early because there's always a little bit of tension before the start of a rally. And so I hit the sack at about 11, slept well till 7. My first interest was what the weather was like. I looked out the window and was delighted to see that it was overcast with the prospect of rain. I was aware that I was going in a rally because I started to feel that uptight feeling you get in the gut that I think we all experience just prior to doing something that you realise is pretty important that you want to do very well at.
3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1, and away goes Stig Blomqvist and Dr. Graham West. Gets away. Greg Carr. How about a big send-off from your locals? He's away now.
The competitors, seeded from 1 to 50, are flagged off by the Swedish ambassador and the Japanese First Minister to make their way through the suburbs to the forest east of the city. Leaving at 1-minute intervals, the first competitors will be well into the battle before the last few even leave the starting ramp.
4, 3, 2, 1, go!
The light rain of early morning is now a steady downpour. Favourite for the event is Swedish champion Stig Blomqvist. Driving the works team SAAB, car 1, Blomqvist is one of the world's best drivers in slippery conditions. Most likely to challenge Blomqvist is Australian Greg Carr in the Ford Escort RS 1800, car 2. Although driving with an injured wrist today, he's won the Castrol 3 times. He wants to make it 4. Capable of beating both is Colin Bond in car 4, 3 times Australian champion. The rally route over forest access roads and fire trails is rapidly being churned into a sea of mud, slightly reducing the advantage Carr and Blomqvist have with engines more powerful than the rest of the field. Ross Dunkerton in car 5, the odd-handling Datsun utility, is the current Australian champion. Ex-New South Wales champion Barry Ferguson will keep them all honest. He's settling in with the Escort car 7, sights on the finish tomorrow afternoon. With the idea of forcing all competitors to lose some time, the organisers have set what they think are impossible targets for every section. Blomqvist stops at the finish control of stage 1. Despite the rain and mud, he's lost no time at all, beating the target by 5 seconds. In car 8, the Toyota Truino, is the other top international, Japanese champion Mitsuo Ayabe. Though not quite as comfortable as Blomqvist, SAAB is revelling in the rain. Stage 1 finish, Greg Carr checks in. The books show he and Blomqvist losing no time. Both have beaten the impossible target, Carr by an incredible 22 seconds. However, the first section is not the whole rally. A determined Wayne Bell is throwing the Holden Team Gemini around the quagmire as he battles to stay within reasonable distance of the leaders. A little tentative in the conditions, he's still moving away from the rest of the field. Under the rules, both Carr and Blomqvist are equal leaders with no time lost, but that 17-second extra margin is a boost for Carr.
Well, this particular rally is very important because Stig Blomqvist is running, and my ultimate ambition is to run overseas, and he being one of the top, maybe in the top 5 in the world, it's a good yardstick, so I can measure myself compared to him. So it's very important, this particular rally.
Further back in the field, drivers are taking it very easily in the rapidly worsening conditions, taking no chances of wrecking their vehicles, though some, like Victoria's Geoff Portman in car 13 and local driver Peter Gordron in 14, are going very hard. Both for competitors and spectators, the Castrol rally is unique. For spectators, all the action occurs within 20 kilometres of the city, and for the competitors, the dangers of public roads are removed, the speed is all in the forest. Australia has few native softwoods, so the first of these forests was started in 1915, when some Canary Island pines were planted on Mount Stromlo. This has expanded yearly, till today there are over 16,000 hectares, mostly radiata pine. Every year, over 67 million super feet of timber is cut and sent to the 6 mills surrounding Canberra, vital lifeblood for the local construction industry. Unexpectedly, the favourite Blomqvist is now 77 seconds behind the flying Carr. Bell, fastest of the remainder, is also falling further back. Less than halfway through the first afternoon, a titanic struggle is developing. Blomqvist's SAAB sounds magnificent, but the front-wheel drive has marginally less traction on these very hilly sections. On the other hand, the SAAB's incredible stability in Blomqvist's hands makes it look easy. Greg Carr has personally directed a rally over this particular section and knows the 18-kilometre stretch will allow speeds of over 100 miles an hour if the driver is game. Despite the mud, that's exactly what he's doing. Already, he's a further minute ahead of the Swedish ace. The Lancer, car 20, is rapidly climbing up the field. The crew, quickly settling into a superb combination, is rising star Ian Hill and local navigator Anne Heaney, one of only 3 female competitors. They're in the thick of the fray. Meanwhile, another female competitor, Yvette Pologny, in car 47, has yet to see the mud. Nearly an hour after Blomqvist, she and Charlie Bell are only just turning down Anzac Avenue towards Federal Parliament House, opened in 1927 by His Royal Highness the Duke of York. This joint sitting of the House of Representatives and the Senate is the ceremonial opening. The House of Representatives is about to be summoned to the Senate chamber by an official whose role, title and dress are drawn from the parent Westminster Parliament, the usher of the Black Rod.
Mr. Speaker, His Excellency the Governor-General desires the attendance of this honourable House in the Senate chamber forthwith.
But today, Black Rod, Mr. Guy Smith, has shed his robes to join the other spectators braving the elements. From the start, the engine of the unusual Lancia Stratos has been misfiring. The crew are now flying blind. Forward vision has been destroyed. The wipers have ground mud into the soft Perspex windscreen. Unwilling to admit defeat, the crew struggle on. Competitors further back in the running order are encountering tremendous problems. The front runners are cutting the roads up badly, and the drenching rain is converting them into a sea of slush. The only consolation is there's no dust to blind them. Service crews leapfrogging ahead perform miracles to keep some cars mobile and in contention. In the Cowan service area, the smoothly organised SAAB crew check their charge thoroughly while West and Blomqvist relax.
It's very difficult to say, but it's very muddy and slippery as now, for it's raining so much.
How do you feel about the pressure that the other drivers are keeping on you?
I don't know. I've been in the first on all stages. I don't know the time yet, but it's a long way to go. So it's nothing to speak about yet.
With the rain still coming and it's getting worse, how are you going to approach your driving now in these next couple of stages?
It's just to drive on and see what's happened, I think. But I think a lot of things can happen now when it's so slippery.
Do you worry about it more in terms of your approach to your driving?
I think if it's slippery like that, it's better for me, I think. When I came from Sweden, we have a lot of snow and ice, it's nearly the same.
How important is the front-wheel drive?
I think sometimes it's more easy to drive, but here when it's so much uphill, you have a little bit less traction or a rear-wheel drive car, but I don't know. Wait and see the other times.
Ankle-deep mud covers the service area, the potholes filled with water. For mechanics, it's a nightmare. While his mechanics squirm in the mud, Barry Ferguson takes a break.
Well, it's been going well so far. The car's handling well, but we've got a bit of a problem here that the boys are trying to look after on the back brakes. They tend to be binding a little. And of course, for the last special stage, we also ran without wipers, which I was not too keen on, and we couldn't see, especially when we were through mud puddles. It just locked the screen up completely and ran blind.
The running order on the road has changed as problems occur. The neat numerical sequence no longer exists, as Colin Bond in the other Ford team Escort punches steadily on. Although most of the cars in the event started life as production models, they've been extensively reworked. The body seams have been re-welded, interior roll cages added, and often larger engines have been fitted. The suspension has been strengthened and conventional shock absorbers generally replaced with the gas-filled units more capable of taking torture. Extensive safety equipment completes the preparation. The weather is now so bad, 2 competition stages have had to be deleted as impassable, and organisers are keeping an anxious eye on conditions for the night stage on the other side of the city. The talented SAAB lets the tail of the Trueno move wide. Twitching the tail in the opposite direction to his next corner, he then flicks it back in a copybook example of the Scandinavian flick turn. Nearer Canberra, Ross Dunkerton is on the last section of the afternoon, a gymkhana setting at Majura Park. Although a good test of throttle control, this section is primarily included by the organising club for the benefit of the thousands of spectators lining the fences. It's the sort of consideration that each year attracts more spectators to this popular event. Making his way around the tyre markers is Greg Carr, now leading Blomqvist by a huge 4 minutes 4 seconds.
Well, you've got to be a bit more careful. The problem is the road that you're on could be very firm, and then you might go around the corner and get halfway around and find a puddle of water, or the surface changes and becomes very slippery. So you've just got to back off ever so and just be a bit more cautious. So I believe where we're going tonight, the roads are much better. They're made roads, so you've got more traction, and you can probably go a little bit harder. I'm pretty happy because I know we've been keeping track of our score compared to Stig Blomqvist, who's our major opposition, and we've beaten him on every section so far by various margins. In fact, there was a long 18k section where I think we took over a minute off him, which is quite significant in this sort of rally. So I'm pretty happy so far.
Saturday afternoon over, heading back to Kingston for food and rest is Ross Dunkerton.
The big problem is it's so wet that we're having trouble getting traction. And we're going into corners at probably 5-10 kilometres an hour and coming out of them about the same speed, but with hardly any control at all. You just cannot control the cars.
Do you have any fears at all about driving in those sort of conditions?
Yes, especially with a prototype car which we're driving at the moment. It's sort of a car that we can't predict until we've driven it for a length of time, which we haven't done as yet.
What about your approach to the rally overall? Does it change when it becomes wet and dangerous like this?
Yeah. I haven't driven in a wet rally now for about 4 years, I suppose. And this is the first wet rally that I've driven in the eastern states, because West Australia is usually fairly dry, but over here it's the first one for about 4 years, and it takes a long time to get used to it.
Has your confidence suffered at all because of it?
The first 3 or 4 sections, yes. I thought we were going exceptionally slow, but according to results, everybody else is doing the same thing, so we seem to be there. It's the main thing.
As the other crews come in one by one, the rest of Canberra is relaxing, some getting ready to follow the rally into the forest again tonight. Others are content to dodge the rain and relax in more comfortable surroundings, like the bar of the Lakeside Hotel beside Canberra's Lake Burley Griffin. Already, spectators, ignoring the light rain, are waiting in the forest. Greg Carr has a handy lead as he heads out, well aware Blomqvist has the experience and ability to pressure him all the way. Blomqvist starts the night division with a problem. If Carr's lead isn't whittled down tonight, there may be no catching him tomorrow. It's a very determined Blomqvist that guns the SAAB through the early sections. Down the hill and into Condor Crossing, it's a very tentative Colin Bond feeling his way. Creek crossings at night are always tricky after heavy rain, with creek levels rising. Following, Wayne Bell coped capably with the conditions. He's now grabbed third spot from Bond. SAAB is going well, maintaining his pace and his 5th position with a steady performance. Ross Dunkerton is in the service area. It's the first sign of major trouble among the front runners, though 4 others are already out.
We seem to have a bit of back end problem. Just I think one of the shock mountings have broken on it. The problem is when you're coming down into off a hill braking, the back was tending to bounce and the car was a bit uncontrollable. So we've just missed out a section. We've got to get back up to the start of the special stage. So we've just done a detour down here to see if the boys can fix it.
So really it's not worrying your position in the race too much?
No, we've got about 15 minutes to repair it and get back up, and we'll still be in the same position, 5th on the road.
How's it look out there tonight?
Better than this morning anyway.
You can't see as much?
Yeah, it doesn't look as dangerous anyway.
Still itching to get out into it again?
Well, they're all looking very glummy, yeah, I hope so.
I don't think we're going to be successful. We can't blow a hole right through and put a long bolt through it, alongside it. I think we can get right through, won't we?
Dunkerton's isn't the only Datsun with problems. Murray Coots is displaying its dislike of deep water, much to the delight of the crowd at Condor. Jack Armitage is the next victim of the slippery roads. His Datsun 180B SSS is very firmly stuck in the mud.
What are we doing?
We've got to try and lift it a bit. Lift it over.
Does it move at all?
Righto.
Need the winch, John.
Can we lift the back?
Hang on, where's the other sling? You got the other sling, Paul?
Yeah, Bill.
The winch cable has to cross the road to get enough purchase, a dangerous procedure for following traffic.
Yeah, how do you lock those things?
You don't, you just...
Which way? The wrong way, I think. Yeah, wrong way. Right.
Right, you winch
the
it.
car.
They're out, but only just in time. Ian Hill and Anne Heaney edge past in car 20.
Thank you, fellas.
Navigator Paul Patterson leaps back in as Armitage gets rolling, but they've lost a lot of time. As the cars thunder through the night, a tactical battle has developed between Carr and Blomqvist. Each is searching for reasons not to start sections in the right running order so they can have the advantage of knowing the other's time over the section. It's cat and mouse, with neither gaining an advantage. Car 31 comes into one of the forest control points manned by hundreds of voluntary officials, many of them women. Right into the early hours, these controls will remain open for the benefit of stragglers. The superb organisation of the Southern District Motorsports Association keeps the rally running smoothly, despite the atrocious conditions.
I'll get under there and have a look anyway, to make sure we've got no leaks or anything. And have a good look under the rear end, because we're about
4 night sections behind him, Greg Carr comes into Bullock Paddock service area with his lead intact.
Okay. The section we just did was okay. The one before that was very, very rough, and we just took it very easy. But we cleaned the section anyway, so we had no points lost.
So everything's running smoothly?
Yeah, real well.
Looking forward to the rest of the night?
Yep.
How's the hand?
A bit sore, but, you know, once you get going, you sort of forget about that.
Still confident then that you can take it?
Yeah, yeah. The car's going very well. I feel happy.
Blomqvist comes in for service too. Single-mindedly, he's concentrating on the chase, searching for a way to push Carr beyond his limits. It's a grim and thoughtful Blomqvist. Conditions are making it mentally harder on the privateer. A slight off-road excursion with panel damage can be a catastrophe for him. For the works driver, it's simply part of the business. Ferguson's Escort comes in showing tyre wear. 2 new rear tyres are ordered, no questions asked. For a privateer, it may be an agonising decision. A quick conference before the car departs, then team manager Jerry Ball has time to reflect.
Well, the main thing you've got to do is have the service crew especially not flustered. Everybody's got to have a job, they've got to know the job. It doesn't matter if it's wet or it's dry or what it is. They've got to be prepared to lie in the mud, they've got to know their job, they've got to do their job, and that's about it.
Do you have anything to say to the drivers and navigators?
I'll talk to the drivers and see whether they're happy with the car. With an event like this, the tactics are fairly important, yes. So we keep an eye on how everybody else is going and how our drivers are going. We tell them how they're lying in the field and what to do about it.
Through the night, it's now the screaming SAAB setting the pace. Carr's only choice is to match it or lose. Car 45 is off the road to the dismay of driver Laurie Wilson. At the same time, 10 kilometres into Special Section 18, Greg Carr is off the road and bogged disastrously. It takes him 3 attempts to winch out, bogging again each time in the waterlogged soil. He loses the maximum penalty time on the section, 6 minutes. The comfortable lead shrinks to a mere 43 seconds. All leashes off, Blomqvist grabs another 13 seconds from Carr over the final 2 night stages. The scene is set for a monster battle tomorrow. Car 38 and others behind him have a long way still to go as the leaders head home to bed. For others, though, it promises to be a long night. If the troubles aren't cured, Car 7 won't be in the field tomorrow. Dawn is a long time away for some service crews.
And number 2, Stig Blomqvist, 24.41. Number 3, Wayne Bell from the Holden Dealer team at 28.07. And number 4, Geoff Portman with 30.07 lost. And for all you guys up there, here's Paul Simon slip sliding away.
Early Sunday morning, Canberra slowly comes to life as sunshine dries away Saturday's rain. While the crews get ready for the competition, all over Canberra, members of the public are preparing picnics and heading out to line the rally route. Past the embassies, they head out towards the Cotter Dam and into the hills. The weather has smiled at last on one of the sporting events of the year. Competitors today will start in the position they hold on the score sheets. From headquarters, it's Greg Carr who leads the way out of town past the Mint. This stern-looking building houses the equipment for minting the coinage of a number of nations: Fiji, Samoa, Tonga, Israel, New Zealand, the Cook Islands and New Guinea, as well as Australia. The process is totally self-contained. Alloys are smelted from the base metals to exact proportions required for security. The metal is rolled, annealed, then stamped into blanks. Finally, the designs are stamped into the surface and the completed coins are packed ready for dispatch, all carefully checked at every stage. The 41 competitors still running line up at Green Hills Control, ready to fight out this last division. With a slender lead of 30 seconds, Greg Carr screams off the line.
The right-hander and straight on over this crest coming up. Fast, flat out, absolutely flat, straight over this crest. It's 5/10, turn left, through gate.
With 18 competition sections left, Blomqvist needs only to pick up 2 seconds on each from Carr to win. Last night he demonstrated he can do it. The event is wide open. Jerry Ball's late night has paid off. In last night's mud, Victoria's Geoff Portman climbed to 4th place. Driving steadily, he's sniffing at the leader's heels. The sunshine brought SAAB a smile this morning. With Takashai Sakuma performing the difficult task of translating the directions instantly into Japanese, SAAB has the Toyota flying along the rapidly drying roads.
あと100。はい、これ。はい、次は道なり。Y をまっすぐ。あと200。あと100。はい、あと300。十字路まっすぐ。はい、200。はい、100。
Greg Carr slows for a passage control. He can't afford to slow anywhere else. Blomqvist is breathing up his tailpipe, the pressure relentless.
The road goes left over the crest up here. It's a very fairly fast one.
With only seconds between Carr and himself, Blomqvist storms along the route in a breathtaking display of technique. Murray Coote has his foot planted firmly down. He's climbed to 7th place. Very composed, Anne Heaney calls the route instructions.
110, gate. Half 10, gate.
Yvette Pologny is having a much rougher ride as Charlie Bell battles the Gallant.
200, turn left at T-junction. 100, turn left at T-junction. 50. Charlie.
Norm Belitho finally has the Datsun 120Y running the way he wants. Towards the tail of the field, the competition is just as furious. John Sproul and Peter Lambie have the old Holden EH doing things the maker never dreamed of.
300 right at T. 200 right at T. 100 right at T.
Back in the field is Stuart Grigg's Volvo 144. Wayne Bell started this morning 3 minutes 56 seconds behind Carr. Bell is doing everything he knows how, but the leaders are still drawing away from him. The field behind is closing up as well.
あと200。もうちょいね。まっすぐだからね。これまっすぐ入るよ。はい、また400メーターで11をまっすぐ。
There's still mud in patches on the roads as Blomqvist hurtles through the trees towards the notorious mine shaft descent that can destroy an unwary driver. It's a virtuoso precision performance by one of the world's top drivers as he cuts precious seconds from Carr's lead. Blomqvist dives into the last corners before the mine shaft. At the mine shaft, the crowd waits. The SAAB is missing. Out the day before with mechanical trouble, driver David Balmain knows the sinking feeling. Bond has passed Blomqvist, stopped with a broken battery mount. It's cost him a precious 4 minutes. Wayne Bell, fighting hard to retain his third place, has to rely implicitly on his navigator, George Shepheard.
Oh, you know, I suppose if we were man and woman, we'd be in bed together, you know. Yeah, real good. That's part of the whole thing. You've got to get on well together, you know. Otherwise, you can't relate properly and you get tension build up and, you know, things don't go real good. And you've got to be absolutely spot on the whole way. You know, when you're calling these turns in the forest, you've only got to miscue by a little bit. And if your driver's driving right on the maximum that he can, he's allowing for the fact that you've said you're going to turn right in 1/10, and his braking's in accordance, and if you're slightly out, you overshoot or you don't make it, or whatever the case may be. So everything's got to be right on the ball, you know. That's what puts the whole team together.
Could you sum up the rally as it's gone so far?
So far, I could say this much: it's gone about to what I expected it to, except that I did expect one of the two very fast cars, either Carr or Blomqvist, to have had major problem and dropped out by now because of the pace being so quick right between those two. Well, they have had problems, but they've been lucky that they've been able to overcome them. You know, Carr's been off once, Blomqvist broke something and dropped to maximum, and so it goes on, you know. And we were hoping for that those two might break, because we were fairly assured that our car was capable of sitting in about third place, and that we could creep up and take number one, you know.
Blomqvist may have lost 4 minutes, but for the champion professional, there's only one way. Caution thrown to the winds, he grabs back half a minute on the next 4 sections. It's not over yet. He's catching and passing cars that have left control at least a minute ahead. For the spectators strung along the route, a feast of action. Wayne Bell hangs on grimly to his third place. Rain clouds are gathering on the hills again, and light failing as crews head into the last 3 sections. Carr is trying to preserve the Escort, fighting complacency. One incident now could cost him the rally.
Right there. It's 2/10 turn left through gate, then bear left coming up straight ahead of you. 1/10 coming up left and left. Keep left down here. One K turn left at T junction. There's a left-hander coming up here, fairly fast, no worries. Fast right-hander. Five tenths turn right at crossroads. Flat through here now, absolutely flat, no worries.
Blomqvist won't give in. He slices off yet another 21 seconds.
fairly fast through, very slippery, but fairly fast. Going well, I think we might make up about 4 seconds on Blomqvist through here.
Popular little Mitsuo Ayabe ruefully examines his front end. On a treacherous section, renowned for overturning cars, he's clouted a bank, but without major damage. Still smiling, he changes the tyre and does some instant panel beating.
The bloke lost third place a couple of years ago by doing it. He rolled it. Understand?
Off you go.
2 more, 2 go. 8 to go. 2 on a 6. 6 and 2. 4 minutes to leave.
As the crews line up for the last 2 sections, Colin Bond expresses the opinion of the drivers.
Well, basically, I think it's been a fabulous event. I think the rain has made it in a lot of ways. It's made it so that, you know, it's been certainly a driver's event. I think that if it had been dry all the time, even so, probably the most powerful 2 cars have done well. But it's been able that, you know, the cars with a little bit less power have been able to sort of match the bigger horsepower cars in the wet. Or not necessarily match them, but get very close to their times. And I think generally it's kept the event very close together.
Suddenly, it's almost all over. Carr has spun off the road. It's a shaken Carr who slowly gets moving again with another 32 seconds lost. Any more, and it's Blomqvist's rally. Blomqvist knows his chances. He's won 16 stages to Carr's 9 and still pouring on the pressure. Still going strong, Ayabe heads for 5th spot after a fine drive. Through the gloom and pouring rain, Greg Carr guns into the finish for a well-deserved 4th win in the Castrol International with teammate Colin Bond in 4th place. Right on Carr's tail, as he has been all day, is the redoubtable Swede, and the appreciative crowd braving the rain give him warm recognition for a fantastic drive. It will be an hour before the last car finishes, but the crowd stays on, the greatest compliment they can pay to a dramatic event.
Congratulations, Greg Carr.
And we are proud to be behind this match. Really good match, one complete today. One of the competitors have been involved. And we are
3rd is Bell.
activity.
On behalf of Castrol, we now have much pleasure, Greg, in presenting you with the trophy.
Greg Carr and Fred Kashentis have every reason to smile. It's been a true measure against a great rival, and for Australian rallying, a matter of intense pride. Next year, they'll be back.
Liberty. 2 10, 3 10. 2 10 hard left.
Have that camera going?
Yes. Oh, a bit short, Roscoe. That's one.
That's one.
2 10s turn right. 1 10 turn right.